Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and you're about to listen to a hypnosis session specifically for medical anxiety. And I was working with a client with a particular type of medical anxiety, and that was having a blood pressure reading. And if you've ever had your blood pressure taken, you'll know it's one of these inflatable things that goes normally around your forearm or your bicep. It inflates and then it gives a blood pressure reading. And blood pressure is quite a good clue as to overall health in certain metrics. It kind of lets doctors know what's going on. The problem with blood pressure is that it can lead to false positives. So if someone's really anxious at the idea of a blood pressure test, then they can do the blood pressure, but it's not showing their overall health and well-being. It's actually showing their anxiety levels. So it's a false positive. And this client had had an early experience of having a blood pressure test when they were very anxious, and it gave this false reading. And then because of that, concerned doctors, projected that concern to them, and then they started to worry about their overall health. But there was nothing wrong with them. It was just because the reading was off because of their anxiety. So in this hypnosis session, there's a metaphor of 7 stepping stones that represent a form of desensitization. So doing a home test, but then changing the variables so they feel more and more comfortable, getting closer and closer to how it would be to actually have a blood pressure test either in a hospital or a clinic. So if you do have some form of medical anxiety or blood pressure anxiety, I think you'll get some value from this particular session. But if you just have, let's say, anxiety in a different area of your life, just consider the stepping stone to be a metaphor and allow your mind to replace it with 7 different things that would be more and more aligned with you doing the thing that you currently don't believe that you can do. And of course, if you like the idea of a bespoke session where you're actually working with me directly rather than listening to a recording, there will be a link in the description where you can book a free consultation call to explore working with me. And if you're interested in listening to hypnosis sessions without my explanations as to what the session is all about, and you just want to listen to the hypnosis, then I've actually got 22 hypnosis downloads that you can get completely free, again, by clicking a different link in the description. So check those out. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that slow, long, relaxing breath. And as you exhale, feel that wonderful sense of release, as it feels like you're giving permission for tension or worries to just be released in your outward breath. With each breath, allow yourself to feel deeper and deeper relaxed. Each breath taking you deeper and more relaxed than the last. That's in. And as your body relaxes, give permission for your imagination to awaken. And I wonder, whether you could imagine being in a beautiful place, high up on a hill or a small mountain. The kind of place where you can just see for miles. Perhaps you could imagine seeing blue skies, rolling hills, perhaps even towns or buildings, maybe even the sea. And as you breathe in and breathe out, just imagine that this place represents harmony. And so many things have harmony. It's impossible for vegetables to grow in the ground unless there's the right balance of sunshine and rainwater and nutrition in the soil. I want you to get a sense that there is an ambience in certain places. People naturally adjust to certain places. They adjust the volume of their speech to fit in with the energy of their surroundings. So there, in that place, I want you to feel a harmony and a frequency of peace and relaxation. And I want you to notice how effortless it is to be thoughtful in the most useful ways. The taste of something delicious is a thought of mindfulness. Seeing the scenery perhaps leads to a thought of gratitude. I want you to get a sense that thoughts can be useful or unuseful. And when you think about things that makes your life enhanced, noticing something you value, reducing a risk, or perhaps appreciating something wonderful, that's when thinking becomes useful. But sometimes you can do things that are unuseful. It's useful to plant a seed in soil because it will grow. The same seed thrown into the ocean may do nothing at all. And I want you to think of worrying. That if the worry is of variables that you can't control, can't reduce, then it becomes unuseful worry. But if the thought is about a genuine risk that you can reduce or prepare for, then the worry is useful. And I want you to give yourself permission to let go of those things that are more useless than useful. And I want you to create in your imagination a pond there in that peaceful place with 7 stepping stones. And on the other side of the pond, we can call this the freedom of useful thinking. The pond is too big for you to leap across in one jump, but the stepping stones mean that each step is very achievable compared to the last step. And I want these stepping stones to represent incremental challenges that expand your comfort zone slightly beyond what you've done before, but in doing so, your comfort zone expands. I want you to imagine standing just in front of the first stepping stone. And as you look at the stepping stone, just imagine your own home with a blood pressure test unit. And as you step onto the first step, find yourself in your own home doing a blood pressure test on your arm or evaluating your numbers, but at a different time of the day. Maybe the afternoon or the evening. Not something you'd normally do, but this gives you evidence that you can test your own blood pressure at any time. And once this feels like it's something within your comfort zone, even if you have to imagine it 2, 3, 4 or more times. Once you can feel what it would feel like to do it without any concern, any stress, any anxiety, let me know by nodding your head. And then take the next step. Also imagine you're in your own home, but this time you've found some kind of medical sound effects, maybe on YouTube, maybe on a special effects library, and just loop the sound of beeps and medical sounds. Maybe it's sounds of a hospital or a clinic, and just allow the sounds to be there in the background. And notice, after a few attempts, you can take your blood pressure, even if there's those medical sound effects and it just doesn't bother you at all. Take the next step now, and this time, maybe you keep the medical sound effects, maybe it's still the afternoon, but now there's people there. Maybe people you know. And again, do that blood pressure test enough times until it feels like this is no big deal at all. This is manageable. This is something you can do. And when this feels well within your comfort zone, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And then take the next stepping stone. This time I want you to imagine that you've discovered a public restroom. Maybe a disabled toilet where you will have privacy, but there is something about the lighting and the smell of that room that just reminds you of some kind of hospital or clinic. It isn't. Maybe the toilet is in a library or a supermarket. But the lighting and the smell reminds you of a hospital. And in that private restroom, imagine doing a blood pressure reading on yourself, only taking a few moments, until you can be outside of your home, under that harsh clinical lighting, that smell of industrial detergents, and it still feels fine. And then imagine the next step of the stepping stone, like graduating the level of a game. I want you to imagine a walk-in clinic, the kind of place where people walk in for emergencies, Consider it an urgent care room. But instead of going up to a desk and registering, just discreetly find a chair in that waiting area. You're not going into a clinic room, it's just the reception, just the waiting area. And there, unpack your blood pressure monitor and just take a reading. It's now a medical type of building, other people around, but you're doing it on your terms. And maybe it takes 2 or 3 attempts or more, but you don't care. You will keep doing it until in this public waiting area gives you the same reading that you were getting at home. And when you can imagine that, let me know by nodding your head. And then imagine scheduling a blood pressure test at a local pharmacy. It's now not you doing the test on yourself, someone else is. But you have created the evaluation that you can handle this. This is just slightly outside of your comfort zone. But now at this point, your comfort zone has expanded so much that this feels like just the next logical step. And maybe they take a couple of tests, or maybe they take one test and it's slightly higher than the reading you would have at home and just ask them to do another one. Or schedule another time to come back until you feel that even someone else doing a blood pressure test on you is also within your comfort zone. And when that feels like that's real, you know by nodding your head. And then imagine scheduling a full health check. Maybe there's blood samples, urine samples, weight and body fat, BMI, but also blood pressure. Imagine it's thorough. And imagine even scheduling it gets you thinking about how it's going to be fine when it happens. If there is any anxiety, you are desensitizing yourself to it, and if there isn't, it's evidence of progress. But even just by scheduling it moves you forwards. And then imagine the day comes. Maybe you drive to that place, or someone drops you off. And maybe that whole health checkup takes an hour or 2. But imagine how it would feel to do that, and to feel that you face something that in the past would have triggered something extreme, and now it feels like no big deal. And as you imagine leaving that hospital, that clinic, I want you to get a sense that you have expanded your comfort zone so much that things that used to worry you no longer do. But that doesn't mean that your brain will be looking for something else to worry. Because changing one worry for another worry would be like replacing one broken item in your home for something else that's also broken. If it's not useful, then it's useless. But what if you could deploy all of that thinking power, all of that cognitive juice, and deploy it in a way that enriches your life, that gives you more mindfulness, more thoughtfulness, the ability to learn and evaluate wonderful things that enhance your life. Or maybe it's finding kind of things that challenge and stimulate your brain. A puzzle, a teaser, a crossword, Sudoku, something that enhances your cognitive processing power. Because if that cognitive energy needs to be deployed somewhere, why not be intentional about where you use that same thought processing power? And you don't have to decide now. Just set the intention that all of that thinking that was being wasted before can now be deployed in a way that enriches and enhances your life, rather than wastes all of that precious resources. And then you found yourself on the other side of the pond. Consider this your future. A future of more options, more freedom, less anxiety. A future where you defeated a fear by walking towards it. And then it occurs to you. Fear is like shadows, and action is like light. And the more action you take, the more fear disappears. And as you hold that thought, it's time to leave this place in your imagination and return all the way back to the here and now. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.